Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to YouTube for another Free Advice Friday. So, going forward, this is where Free Advice Friday is going to happen. It is going to be done live on YouTube. I don't know what is going on with Facebook right now. I don't know why Facebook is blocking me, banning me from my groups every other day. It's incredibly frustrating. But as long as that is going to continue to keep happening, I can't rely on being able to do Free Advice Friday on Facebook. So I have made the decision that from now on, going forward, Free Advice Friday is going to happen right here live on YouTube. Generally, the feedback has been very positive. People have said that it's a better experience. It's easier to join the broadcast. It's easier to be interactive. And so by and large, it sounds like that's what everybody wanted anyway, because it works better. So that's what we're going to do. So Free Advice Friday is going to happen continually now on YouTube. I'm going to hang out as long as I can today. I am sick. This is what happens. It is not COVID. Everybody's okay. But my daughters came home sick last weekend, and I thought I was going to get away with it because I was feeling pretty good right up until yesterday, and it hit me yesterday. But because I had already promoted the broadcast, said I was going to be here, I wanted to hold on to that commitment. So I apologize if I sound congested, and if every once in a while I have to stop to sneeze and blow my nose. But hey, as long as the advice is good, you can put up with it, right? So that is what is going on. Not feeling so great, but we're gonna get this done. We're gonna have a good broadcast. We're gonna have some fun today, answer some questions. So Facebook has lost, YouTube has gained. There you go. That's one way to look at it, Billy. And honestly, the YouTube interface is pretty good, pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I like the fact that it lets me schedule things ahead of time, gives people an opportunity to get a reminder that I'm going to be live, which is very handy as well. I've been playing around with, and actually just before I started the broadcast today, I was playing around with OBS. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the OBS software, but I've been playing around with OBS and looking at that as a possibility to add some fun things to the broadcast. Maybe, I don't know. So we'll see. Turn it into like full blown like TV news or something like that. Probably not going to be that exciting. But anyway, we're here. We're live. For those of you that are new to Free Advice Friday, maybe this is your first time jumping onto YouTube and watching. I'm familiar with OBS. Happy to help if you ever have any questions about it. Oh, perfect, because I was playing around with it a little bit earlier, and I couldn't. I mean, I could figure out a couple things, but by and large, I wasn't really getting it. And I used to work in television. I used to be an editor in television, so you'd think that it would be easy for me, but I hadn't quite figured it out yet. But anyway. For those of you that are new to Free Advice Friday, maybe this is your first time jumping in. You don't know what's going on right now. Free Advice Friday is a very complex and advanced concept. Basically, what happens is on Fridays, I go live on the internet and offer advice for free. That's it. That is the extent of Free Advice Friday. So if you've got questions about the voiceover business, if you've got questions about voiceover marketing, all of that sort of stuff, I'm here to answer your questions for free on a Friday. That's the way it works. So if you've got something you want to ask, type it in the comments. It'll pop up on the screen, and I'm happy to answer those questions for you, and really looking forward to spending some time hanging out and dispensing a little bit of advice freely on a Friday. You guys, you got to listen to the new episode of the podcast. I had Brian Doucette on. We were talking about cold calling. When you hear some of the numbers that he gives for his conversion rate on cold calling, let me tell you something. If you are one of the people who have thought cold calling is not for me, you may feel differently after you listen to what Brian has to say in that interview. It was my mind was blown by some of the things that he offered up in that interview. But not only that, not only were the data sets that he gave as far as conversion rates to prospects and all that sort of stuff crazy, but he literally gives you everything you need to know on how to do cold calling. Walks you through it step by step. Like, honestly, that was like a 35-minute cold calling coaching session. That's basically what the podcast became. So if it's something that you haven't done before, but you've thought about maybe you'd like to try, listen to the episode. If it's something that you are currently doing but want to get better at, listen to the episode. definitely you are going to pick up some information. So that is available at VOpreneur.com, of course, or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So make sure that you do check out that new episode of the podcast. You're going to learn quite a bit of stuff. All right, let's see what's going on here. Andrew says Streamlabs OBS is a bit simpler to set up and use, but same result. Yeah, I was looking a little bit into Streamlabs. My whole thing right now is I really don't want to add any more expenses into my business if I can help it. And I mean, if there's a justification for it, then okay. But I've got so many stinking subscription services right now, so many different software pieces of software that I'm using and whatnot. Because I was also looking at the possibility of, can I simulcast so that the people that still want to be able to watch on Facebook can watch on Facebook, but the people that want to watch on YouTube can watch on YouTube? So can I simulcast? But even simulcasting doesn't matter, because if I get banned from Facebook, continually getting banned from Facebook, then I can't simulcast to the group anyway, which is really annoying. So I don't know. It's something. We'll play around with it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see where it goes. Because I don't have enough going on already, so why not? Welcome, Kaz, listening all the way from the UK. Brian says, I know you're a Nimble Waves guy. How well do these two integrate with each other? I'm trying to avoid retyping and copying and pasting from CRM to invoicing and billing software. My Nimble, I do not have any kind of integration between Nimble and Waves, but for me, I don't need it. I'm using Nimble to keep track of my clients. I'm using Wave to keep track of my invoices. And so I'm using them for two distinct purposes. So I don't need there to be a lot of integration. And like with Waves, I only have to set it up once, right? I only have to put in the person's address once. So for me, I haven't really looked for any kind of integration, or I guess I haven't really figured out whether or not I need an integration. Because I'm using them, again, for two distinct purposes. Hey, Marissa. Andrew says you can simultaneously stream to multiple platforms on Streamlabs. Yeah, I've looked at Streamlabs. I looked at Restream. I was looking at StreamYard, which I believe is what George and Dan use on VOBS. Diana says, hey, Mark, will we see you at One Voice? So here's the deal. A lot of people wondered why I wasn't at VO Atlanta. I applied for a U.S. visa at the end of 2019. And that visa would allow me to travel to the States for the purposes of work, including speaking at conferences. And my visa was approved, well, conditionally approved, in early 2020. The final step was to go to the U.S. consulate for an interview. And that happened right at the same time that COVID hit and everything shut down. And so I have been waiting now for over 2 years because of COVID shutdowns, continuous COVID shutdowns, and the appointments keep getting bumped. So I've been waiting over 2 years to be able to get my visa that I applied for in 2019. So I was not able to attend VO Atlanta because my visa had not come through. I have committed. I have told Jay Michael that I will come to One Voice and that I will speak at One Voice. But here's where things get interesting. My appointment for my visa is now on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. And now I'm sick. And so far, COVID test negative, which is a good thing. But obviously, if I have COVID-like symptoms, I cannot go for that appointment. And if I cannot go for that appointment, then it could be months before I can get another appointment, which could potentially then impact my ability to have my visa in time to go to One Voice. So right now, I just need to get better. That's what I need. I was supposed to go this afternoon to get my passport photos for my visa. Now I can't do that. So I'm going to be scrambling next week. Hopefully, my plan is, once Free Advice Friday is done, to go to bed and sleep for 3 days. And then hopefully when I wake up on Monday, I will be healthy and everything will be fine, and I'll be able to go and get my visa, and it won't be a big deal, and we'll be all good to go. But that's a long way of getting around to it. But yes, I am hoping to be at One Voice in August. And I'll tell you another reason why. I was doing a little bit of research. My wife doesn't know this yet. The Red Sox are playing in Houston at the beginning of the week when One Voice is happening. And so my plan was fly into Houston, catch a Red Sox game on Tuesday, take Wednesday to just kind of hang out, whatever. And then Thursday, fly from Houston to Dallas, do the One Voice conference, and then fly home. So I got the whole thing planned out, man. I'm ready to go. It all hinges now on whether or not I can get my visa. But Brian says, does that mean you have way more folks in Nimble versus in Waves? Yeah, the only people that are in Wave are my clients because they're the only people that I'm sending invoices to. So I only keep Wave is strictly invoicing, right? That's all I use it for is invoicing. So only clients that hire me go into Wave. On Nimble is my CRM. That's where my database is, right? So that's where leads, prospects, clients, everything like that, they are all in Nimble. But Wave, totally separate. Clients only for invoicing purposes. Matt says, hey, Mark, you recently said that sending 10 cold emails an hour is a good target. Does that assume already having predetermined lead list and starting from scratch? Hoping you can elaborate. Great question. I believe that you should be able to do 5 minutes per email. When you get a system in place that is efficient, it gives you the ability to do this really quickly. And so even can you do it faster if you have a lead list? Of course you can, right? Absolutely you can. But can you start from scratch and get an email sent in 5 minutes? I believe you can. And I have demonstrated this for voice actors in coaching sessions in the past as well, where I literally go onto Google, we do a Google search, I pull up a lead, click on one of the search results, click on it, walk through the page with them, show them where I'm looking for something to grab that I'm going to use for an in, show them my process for trying to find the individual that I'm going to contact. And then my email is a template that is already written. This is one of the areas where Nimble comes in really handy, and particularly Nimble with a Gmail integration, because I already have my email template saved in Nimble. I can pull that up really quickly in Gmail. All I have to do is change the first paragraph, which is the part of the email that I am personalizing. But yes, I do think that it is possible to do 5 minutes per email. It might take a little bit of time to get you there, but the biggest thing is if it's taking you much longer than 5 minutes per email, it's probably because you're overthinking the whole entire process. The other thing I would suggest too is ideally, we want to be able to find the individual that we want to reach out to, and we want to be able to find the email address for the individual that we want to reach out to. But sometimes that just is really hard. And so rather than spending an hour and a half trying to find that particular email address, there comes a point where I say, forget it. I'm just going to send it to whatever email address is provided, info at, hello at, contact at, whatever. But in the actual body of the email, I can address it to whoever the individual is that I'm trying to reach. And so that's another thing that you can do to save time. Kaz says, I'm so over all the sickness bugs going around. Feel better. Yeah, me too. Totally over it. I feel like I went through 2 years of just not being sick ever because, we never left the house literally for 2 years. And now all of a sudden that we are leaving the house again, it's like, oh, just throw everything at me all at once, whatever, make up for 2 years of it. Michelle says, I love Wave. I use Airtable for my CRM and have a Zapier plugin. So there you go. So there are other options. Anna Marie says, for conversion, is that the number of clients that have paid for work, or is that the number of clients that have responded with interest in working with you in the future? There's two different definitions of conversion in there, Anna Marie, and that's a great question. So there's the first conversion I consider is lead to prospect, right? Lead, somebody that I've not worked with, but I would like to work with. Prospect, somebody that has expressed an interest in working with me. So that's one conversion from lead to prospect. You've gone from somebody that you've never had communication with to sending an introductory email, and now they've expressed an interest in working with you. So you have converted them to a prospect. The second conversion is then to go from prospect to client. And that is, as a prospect, they've expressed an interest in working with you, but they haven't hired you yet. When you convert them to client, obviously that's when you've done the first paid booking. So there's really two conversions that I'm trying to work through: lead to prospect and then prospect to client. Anna Marie says, is changing the first paragraph in the emails and leaving the rest the same enough to keep my email address being flagged of spam over time? I think a lot of that depends on, one, how many emails you're sending, and two, how much you are changing the emails, right? I'm not sending 100 emails a day here when I'm doing that. So that's one thing. I think also I have several different templates that I work off of. So there's templates that are specific to e-learning, to explainer, to commercial, right? And so the whole spam thing is a really interesting thing. I think if you're sending a lot of the same emails all at once, that's where you start to get into problems. If you're spreading them out over the course of a day, I think there's less of a problem. I think if you are changing enough of the content, there's less of a problem. I think another thing that you can do, or my understanding is, and again, I'm not an expert in this particular area of spam filters and stuff, but one of the things that I have heard and have do myself is I also mix up my subject lines, right? So if I'm going to send 10 very similar emails in an hour, by mixing up the subject lines and mixing up the opening paragraph, I think that's enough to keep you safe. I have not run into a problem at this point. Where you might run into a problem, and where I have run into a problem in the past, is, let's say you're using Nimble and you want to do a group message. Nimble on a paid account allows you to do a group message to 100 people at a time. I have found that when I do that, I sometimes run into issues. And so now one of the things that I'm doing, and it's in how emails are sent, right? I can send an email to my newsletter list, my voiceover coaching list, which is, almost 4,000 voice actors. I could send an email to that list, 4,000 voice actors all at once, and not run into a problem because of how the servers work and all that sort of stuff. Very technical, don't understand it. In Nimble, it's sending 100 emails simultaneously from your email address that all show up in your sent folder. And that works differently. And so in Nimble, when I'm doing group messages, one of the things that I will do is, rather than sending 100 at a time, I might send 25 on Monday, 25 on Tuesday, 25 on Wednesday, 25 on Thursday, and kind of break it up that way. And that, I have found, has made things go a little bit smoother for me. I have not run into as many issues doing it that way. Kaz says, with LinkedIn connection requests, do you convert from lead to prospect when they accept your connection request? Do you even record them as a lead in your CRM before they accept on LinkedIn? Generally, if I'm doing it through LinkedIn, I do not add people into my CRM until they have, we're in the prospect phase. So for me, simply having my connection request accepted, I do not consider them a prospect at that point because I haven't had a conversation with them yet. Now I consider them a warm lead. This is where it can get really confusing, right? You got cold leads, warm leads, all that, right? Connection request sent, lead. Connection request accepted, warm lead. Not until I have a conversation with them, whether that's through LinkedIn or via email, where they've actually agreed to listen to my demos or expressed an interest in working with me or whatever. That's when I consider them a prospect. That's when I put them from LinkedIn. I put them into my CRM. Let's see. I'm just writing down some time codes as we talk here, guys, so I can go back and reference stuff later. And Marie says, thank you for your answers to both questions. Super helpful. Hope you feel better soon. Being sick sucks. Yes, it does. Michelle says, I have a friend who is a super great sales and marketing guy, and he remarked that people are more inclined to cold emails or cold calls rather than cold emails. What's your take on that? I think it's a demographic thing. And that was one of the things that Brian and I talked about in the podcast episode from yesterday's podcast episode on cold calling. We definitely felt like there was a demographic thing. If you cold call a 25-year-old, 25-year-olds they don't even realize that this thing rings, because the only thing that they know to do with this is to text, right? It's to text or to send messages through social media or send an email. So I think there really is a demographic difference. And that's something that Brian actually talked about in the interview, where when he's researching the potential people that he's going to cold call, based on their picture or their description or whatever, he might determine, you know what, this one's probably less likely to answer a phone call, or this one's more likely to answer a phone call. And I realize that's a broad generalization, but I definitely think there is a generational thing there. I think that people who are of a certain age are much more likely to accept and do a cold call versus perhaps a younger millennial generation who just aren't used to talking on the phone because they've always had texting. And so I think that's I think that definitely is a factor. Um, Again, broad generalization. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but by and large, I think that's pretty solid advice. I think that it really is a generational thing, and I think that also works even for social media, right? You're reaching a totally different buyer on TikTok than you probably are on LinkedIn. It's a generational thing, right? So knowing your audience and knowing where your audience is hanging out, and knowing the platforms that your audience like to use and all of that sort of stuff can really come back and help you. Tim says, I agree. It's a demo. Remember, we do B2B sales completely different from consumer sales. And that's another valid point. How about cold calling after sending the introductory email if we haven't heard back? Certainly an option. I mean, at that point, you got nothing to lose, right? They're already not responding to you. They're already not hiring you. So at that point, I think that you've got nothing to lose by trying a different approach. And I will sometimes do that too, right? That's where maybe I try to send somebody a connection request on LinkedIn, but it doesn't go anywhere. So maybe a little while later, I try to send them an email to see if I can get them through their inbox. Same idea, right? Tried email, didn't work. Try a cold call. Maybe that works. Oh my goodness, I just want to be able to breathe again. You should have heard me this morning. I had to do a coaching session this morning, and I totally could have pulled off the James Earl Jones thing this morning. My voice was like down here. It was like in the basement. Now my voice doesn't sound quite as much like that, but oh my gosh, I'm congested. Whoo! I've been popping vitamin C like Smarties. What else you guys want to talk about? Again, for those of you that are joining the broadcast, maybe you're joining in for the first time because I don't know, you never saw me do it on Facebook, but you're seeing me do it here on YouTube. Free Advice Friday. Basically, Friday afternoons, usually around 1 o'clock Eastern, I try to jump online and hang out for a little bit and answer your voiceover business and marketing questions for free. So if there is a voiceover business or marketing question that you have that you would like to get answered, if you type it into the comments, it in theory will pop up on my screen and I will do my best to answer that question for you. And that is the entire premise of Free Advice Friday. No strings attached, just hanging out, offering some advice for free on Friday. What about recording a spot for a company and reaching out with that sample as a marketing effort? I know voice actors that have done that before. I think it's not something that is probably scalable. And by that, I mean, it would be hard to do it for like 100 leads. But if there was a company that you really, really, really wanted to get in with and you were really looking for a way to set yourself apart, I definitely think that that might be one way to do it. Recording some sort of a sample or something like that. Another thing that I know is very popular as well is recording personalized videos. And personalized videos, I'm saying like, 20 or 30-second video, basically the same idea as an introductory email, but instead of sending an email, you're sending them a video. And I think particularly with a younger generation, that can work as well. And so there's so many different ways to do this. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? Sometimes we get stuck in tunnel vision. There's only one way to market. You can only do emailing, or you can only do cold calling, or you can only do a particular social media platform. And what I really love about it is that no, there's 1,001 different ways to do this. Let's see what else is going on. Anna Marie says spring is here, and I'm really hoping the allergies don't hit me as hard. Oh my goodness, I would, if I had allergies on top of this, I would be totally screwed. Fortunately, I had a monster e-learning job come in on Wednesday afternoon, and fortunately, I was able to get that job done. I worked straight through the afternoon and into the evening to make sure that I got it done, so that when I woke up Thursday and I was feeling like crap, I'm like, oh, at least I got that done. So I guess if I'm going to get sick, it's better to do it on the weekend, right? I know that seems counterintuitive, like we want to be able to enjoy our weekends, but I'm less likely to lose voiceover work on the weekend when I can't breathe. So Michelle says, what can we do to help you get out of Facebook jail? Michelle, I have absolutely no idea. If I could figure out what I could do to get out of Facebook jail, I would do it. I have sent multiple support ticket requests. We've tried doing some bug reporting. I've tried everything that I can possibly think of, but nothing has worked so far. I don't know what the secret is to getting out of Facebook jail. I would just love to know why I'm ending up in it in the first place. I did learn something interesting, though. I can still use Facebook Messenger, and I can still post on my Facebook business page. And shockingly, I can still do advertising on Facebook, because why would they not want my money, right? All I've been banned from is my groups. I just keep getting banned from my groups, which is, I don't know. I don't understand it, but that's something that I've learned. Tim says, thanks for the referral to Ann Ganguza. Yesterday, we recorded an e-learning demo after 13 hours of coaching. Hey, that's about how long I coached with Ann Ganguza to get ready for my e-learning demo. Ann is absolutely amazing. One of my favorite people in the industry. Absolutely brilliant coach. Does amazing demos. I was making really good money in e-learning prior to doing my demo with Ann, but that only accelerated after I got that e-learning demo done with her. Absolutely worth every dime. So I'm glad that you are able to work with her and are having a good experience. That's fantastic. Lacey says, just out of curiosity, what sort of services do you outsource personally, and what determines who you work with? So for me, the very first thing that I ever outsourced was my lead generation. That was the thing that was the most time consuming for me to do, but it was also the thing that was the easiest for me to teach somebody else how to do. And working with a lead generation expert who has access to a lot of the tools already, things like a Hunter account or a Rocket Reach account or a Crunchbase account, premium LinkedIn, etc. Reaching out to somebody who already had those tools, all I needed to do was help them figure out the keywords and the job titles that we were looking for. So that was the very first thing that I outsourced. In the past, I have outsourced graphic design, something that I can do, on a minuscule level, but why would I do it if I can get somebody else to do it for me? I outsourced when I was getting my podcast going. I didn't know how to get my podcast submitted to all of the different platforms, and so I hired somebody to do that for me. I have hired people to do some social media writing for me in the past as well. There's a lot of ways to look at it. I think one is, what are the tasks that I know are essential, but I procrastinate on the hardest? Those are things that you might want to look at outsourcing, because you know that those things are important. You know that those things have to get done, but you're constantly putting them off because you don't want to do them because they're hard, or you don't enjoy them, or you don't know how to do them, or whatever the case may be. So those are things that I think that you can look at outsourcing for sure. What are the things that you do exceedingly well, but you don't have to do? And this one's going to sound, again, counterintuitive, but if it's something that you do really well, it's something that you're going to easily be able to teach. And so that means that it's going to be a lot easier for you to get a virtual assistant up to speed, being able to do that thing in an efficient way or the way that you like it done. And if it's something that you don't have to do, you just do it really well, then it's okay to outsource that, right? The idea here is there's certain parts of our job that only we can do. Nobody else is going to go into the booth and audition for us. Nobody else is going to go into the booth and record bookings for us, right? There's certain things that only we can do. So all of those other things that need to be done for our business, but don't have to be done by us, are potential candidates for things that you could outsource. And I will tell you, my friend and colleague, Bridget Reel, is working on a new service along with Lynn Norris and Miranda Ellis. It is called VA for VO. And they are going to be putting together it's like a dating service, kind of, except that it's going, rather than connecting, couples to date, it's connecting voice actors to virtual assistants to help them do those extra tasks, right? Those other things that maybe the talent doesn't specifically have to do, but can have somebody else do for them. So check that out, VA for VO, if it's something that you're interested in looking in and maybe outsourcing parts of your business. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Matt says, what do you consider a good initial response rate on cold emails How about a rate of converting to client? I think with my cold emails, I always say the absolute minimum is a 10 to 15% response rate. If you're seeing any less than 10 to 15%, there's probably something that we need to fix. And that could be your email, it could be who you're targeting, or that could possibly be an issue with your website. But bare minimum 10 to 15% response rate. I think if you're writing a really great email, if you have a really great website, and if you have really great demos, I think that you can get that response rate up to 20-25% relatively easily. And that's a conversion from lead to prospect. So I think that's what you want to aim for. But those give you good metrics, because you can easily look at, say, out of 100 demos that or out of 100 emails that I've submitted, I only got 5 responses. Now we know there's a problem. We know there's something that needs to be fixed. But if you've sent 100 emails and you got 27 responses, then we know that you're doing really, really awesome and that you should be encouraged by those kinds of results. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Those are the areas that I'm looking for. My good friend works for Meta as a VP. I'll call her. Oh, please do. I just want somebody to answer me. That's the thing. Like, if I had actually done something wrong, I would accept my punishment and no big deal, right? But it's very clear that there are no violations on my account, and so I cannot figure out why in the world I keep getting put back in Facebook jail. It's incredibly frustrating, but I would absolutely appreciate if you would do that. Lee says your timing is great. I'm looking at Nimble and wondered if you have a discount code or affiliate program. Do some browsers work better with Nimble than others? Thanks for the advice. I do actually have a link that I can give you for Nimble. Let me throw that in the chat right now. Nimble 45-day trial. There's a link for a 45-day trial of Nimble. If you sign up for that, you will get to have access to all the full functionality of the system for 45 days and play around with it. And then ultimately, if you decide to sign up, I think I have an affiliate link with them. I think if you sign up through me, like through that link, I think it automatically credits me. Nimble definitely works best. Well, let me clarify that. If you are a Gmail user, Nimble works best with Chrome because Nimble has full integration with Gmail. But in order to really take advantage of that full integration, it works best with Chrome. There is a Nimble extension for Firefox. There's also a Nimble extension for Safari. Uh, they're not as good as the extension for Chrome. Nimble also integrates with Microsoft 365, although I can't speak to that one as much because I am not a Microsoft user. What's the best, most effective website designer specific to VO? Hands down, that would be Joe and Karen from Voice Actor Websites. That is who did markscottvoiceover.com. That is who has created the vast majority of the best voiceover websites that are out there. They are brilliant designers. They love the VO community. They understand the voiceover community. They understand the needs of the voiceover community. Their websites are also built very efficiently for SEO, which is really helpful. They're built for speed, which is really helpful as well. Just through the link in the chat there, Voice Actor Websites, Joe and Karen, 100% I would recommend them. And that is not an affiliate link. That is not a paid sales pitch. That is, I love them. I got them to do my website. They're fantastic. No questions asked. I would also say upper level hosting. I'll throw that in the chat. Upper level hosting is Brad Newman. Brad is a voice actor, and upper level hosting is a service that is obviously for hosting your website, registering your domains, etc. Brad, another amazing guy. If you're trying to get your website set up, if you're getting started out, get your domain, get your hosting set up, and then Joe and Karen can build it for you. Brad's websites are fast. His customer service is second to none. Absolutely thrilled with both of those services. So definitely some things that I would check out if I were you. They mentioned you called VA for VO Tinder. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, so you're basically creating a dating service. I love Bridget. Bridget and I had a conversation about this idea probably a year ago. And I had been pressuring her for a year to get this launched because I felt like there was something there. It took a little bit of convincing, but I'm really excited for them. I think they're onto something. Jane says, "Hey Mark, thanks for bringing this back to YouTube. What should a VO expect from being on a roster? Contacts, rates, etc." Um, that's a bit of a broad question, but let's say I'm assuming you're talking about, okay, I've reached out to a company, I've reached out to a production company, and that production company has said that they're interested in working with me. They like my demos, and so they're going to add me to their roster. So that could look like a couple of different things. Some of the rosters that I'm on just means that I get access to their auditions, right? So they don't post their auditions on casting sites. They send out auditions to the talent that they have on their roster. So some of them means that I will get access to auditions. Some of them means that I just get direct bookings. I have a number of them that I don't even have to audition anymore because they know what I'm capable of. They know what I do. And so they literally just send out direct bookings. And so you might see auditions, you might see direct bookings, you might see a combination of both. With regards to rate, it depends. So I'm on a couple of explainer video rosters, and with the explainer videos, with those companies, we had a discussion up front. If for under 2 minutes, the price is this. For 2 to 3 minutes, the price is this. For 3 to 4 minutes, the price is this. For up to 5 minutes, the price is this. So we had that discussion up front because they're only doing one thing, right? They're only consistently cranking out explainer videos. And so it was really easy to set a rate agreement ahead of time. I've also done that with some of the e-learning companies that I'm with. It's just a straight 25 cents a word across the board type deal. So some of them you will have consistent rates as well. Others, it depends, right? I work with some production companies that I'm on the roster of, and they do a lot of different work, and every job requires a quote. I'm okay with that as well. All right. We interrupt this program to bring you Mark Scott blowing his nose live on the internet. There's an added bonus for Free Advice Friday that you weren't expecting that you were going to get. Sorry, guys. What do you want me? What do you want me to do? I'm sick. Doing the best I can. All right. Let's see. What else is going on here? Laura says, joining late, will this Free Advice Friday be available for viewing later like it was on Facebook? Yes, absolutely. After the live stream ends, the video is available for viewing on my YouTube channel. Last week's is available for viewing as well. I feel like you need a hot toddy. Right now, I have SodaStream Ginger Ale. That's what I'm drinking right now, SodaStream Ginger Ale. And then I'm going to go to bed. As soon as Free Advice Friday is over, I am absolutely going to bed. I'm tired, feeling poopy. Don't forget, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is coming out here very soon. Tuesday, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is coming. For those of you that are looking to up your marketing game, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is my flagship marketing program. About a 6+ hour video course, and it is going to give you everything you need to know to find your own leads, build your own client base, and become the consistently working voice actor that you want to be. So the details on that at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Link is in the chat there. Check it out. Vanny says, do you send marketing emails to general email addresses, or how do you contact them? I touched on this earlier in the broadcast, not quite specifically to your question, but as much as possible, I want to find individual email addresses as much as possible because I do think that it is more effective. If I know that Joe Smith is the guy that I need to talk to, I want to try to find Joe Smith's email address. That said, I'm not going to spend an hour trying to find Joe Smith's email address because that is not productive. It does not allow me to do email marketing at scale. So if after several minutes I have not been able to find an email address for Joe Smith, then at that point, I will just send it to whatever the general inbox is, info at, hello at, contact at, fill out the form that's on their website, whatever, and I will address it to Joe Smith. And here's the thing you got to remember. If the only form of communication that that company is putting on their website is that general email or that general web form, somebody is checking it. Somebody is absolutely checking it, and then they are filtering it off to the appropriate parties. So don't ever be afraid to email those forms or email those generic addresses. I have booked work from those before. It can happen. Remember, any email that is sent has a better chance of converting than any email that is not sent. All right, where are we going? Laura says, I've heard that on LinkedIn, you want to be known for a specific niche. Some of us wear multiple hats, but all related to one thing in VO some way. Do you recommend leading with one thing and mentioning others in the profile, or speak about offering everything under a common umbrella? I think when we do more than one thing, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing more than one thing. I think everybody's got a side hustle these days. I think that's pretty common. What you don't want to do is create confusion about what you do. And I think that's where the problem comes in. When you try to present yourself as 14 different things all at once, nobody's 100% sure what you do. So I'm a voice actor, but I'm also a business and marketing coach. So I do two different things. So my LinkedIn profile primarily focuses on me being a voice actor because that's primarily what I'm using LinkedIn for, is for the voiceover side of my business. But I have sections of my profile that outline the fact that I do business and marketing coaching. So I make it very clear. I think that's part of what you have to do. So maybe that means that in your about section, you have a section that of a heading of voice actor with details about your voiceover work. And then maybe you have a separator, and then you have another headline that has on camera, and you list out what you're doing on camera. And maybe you have another headline that says corporate trainer, and then you list out details of what you're doing as a corporate trainer or whatever. So I think the biggest thing is, if you're going to have more than one thing on your LinkedIn and you're going to use LinkedIn for promoting more than one thing, just make sure that you're not confusing people about who you are and what you do. It's a good question. It's a great question. What else you guys want to talk about? Again, welcome to Free Advice Friday. This is the part of the week where I hang out here live on YouTube. And if you've got voiceover business and marketing questions that you would like to get answered, you can type those questions into the comments. They will pop up on my screen, and I am happy to answer those questions for you for free on a Friday, hence Free Advice Friday. What do you guys want to talk about? What can I help you with? What is on your mind? Remember, too, for those of you that are watching this live on YouTube, and maybe this is your first introduction to me or to what I'm doing, I do have another playlist on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I post videos every week, video tips every week. There's over 200 videos of various and assorted voiceover tips. So you can check out that playbook or that playlist, rather. It's called Voiceover Tips with Marc Scott, and it's accessible on my YouTube channel. Anna Marie says, I remember seeing a post of you recording a bunch of stuff for radio. They weren't spots, I think. What were they called? I couldn't find it. Imaging. Yes, I did radio imaging. Yeah, so radio imaging is what comes on between the songs that isn't the announcer, right? So the voice that comes on that says, you're listening to Kiss 92.5, or, listen to Bob and Joe in the morning on 820 Cham, whatever, right? It's those things, that those little bumpers that play in between songs on radio stations. That's called radio imaging. And so I do some imaging for one station right now. Any inherent reason to hang a mic top down than bottom up? Nope, not really. I mean, maybe I should preface that by saying I don't actually know, but not really. I just like the way this one looked better hanging down, honestly. My U87 in the booth is top up. It's hung the right way, but I don't think it makes a difference. I guess you'd have to look at the pattern of the microphone to decide. This is just my fart around in my office, my Zoom microphone. This is not the microphone that I use for recording voiceovers. Obviously, that microphone is in my booth, which is over there. I got my U87 and I got my 416 in there. This one, I literally bought this microphone because I had the ability to make it orange. That's it. That's why I bought this microphone. There's LED lights in there, and you can make them any color. You can make them change colors. You can do all kinds of really cool stuff with it. And so I literally bought this microphone because I could make it orange. I have a bit of a problem. What can I say? I can't help myself. What else is going on, guys? What else can I help you with? What would you like to talk about? Who's got a question for Free Advice Friday? I assume you don't unplug the U87 too often. No, the U87 and the 416 are in the booth. They don't ever get unplugged. They're just always there, always ready to go. Do you recommend for travel Rode NT1, the small one for the desk? I honestly, I don't know. I am not a studio expert. And so I can tell you when I travel, I take my 416, which I know is a really expensive travel mic. What matters the most with a travel mic, I think, is the pattern of the microphone. So shotgun mics tend to be really good because they are so much more forgiving of the space. So the 416 is a shotgun mic. And so the beautiful thing about that microphone is that literally there could be somebody sitting here and somebody sitting here. And as long as that microphone is in front of you, it will barely pick up what's going on from these people here. So it's very directional. And that's one of the advantages of it for travel, because it is so much more forgiving of the space that you are recording in. And so that's the one thing that I would be thinking about when I'm looking for a microphone is what microphone can I buy for travel that is going to be forgiving of the space? Because obviously, if you're in a hotel room, if you're recording in the backseat of your car, which I've done, there's only so much that you can do for sound treatment. And so that's where the shotgun mics tend to be very popular for travel. AKG makes one. I can't tell you what the model is off the top of my head, but there are some that are out there that are obviously cheaper than the 416. But that's definitely something that I would be thinking about from a travel standpoint. Yes, this microphone is tap to mute. If I go like this, right? That's it. It's pretty handy. Brian says, any impact from the Ukraine invasion on VO? Is supporting a Russian-based customer a sanction issue? U.S. or Canada? Is a personal or business decision? I would be very leery about doing any business with any with any companies or any buyers from Russia right now, because it could potentially become a sanction issue. That goes way beyond my brain capacity as far as the political ramifications of that. But there are so many things that are sanctioned right now that I would honestly be nervous about doing it, because it could potentially run into an issue. I don't actually do any narration for Russian companies anyway, so it's not affecting me. But there are a lot of the major YouTube conglomerates, that run some of the largest YouTube channels. My understanding is that a lot of them are Russian, and so that could be impacting some voice actors right now. It would certainly be something that I would want to ask a question about before I agreed to any work at this point. Really smart question, actually. Laura says, is there such a thing as trying to build a business too quickly? Not dealing with a flood of clients, I wish, but extending into too many directions at once. How do you suggest pacing oneself? I mean, I think that we're all familiar with the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. And that can be a problem. When you're trying to do too many things at once, but you're not doing any of them with mastery, that can be a bit of a problem. And so, like, even for me, when I was building my voiceover business, I only focused on one or two genres to start. I put a lot of focus on one or two genres in the beginning. I built up a really nice client base for myself from those one or two genres. And then once I had that client base, I was booking consistently. I felt like I was really confident in those areas. Then I started adding that. Then I went out and added the next genre and kind of just rinse and repeat. That's the way I did it. I think particularly in voiceover, look, there's a very broad canyon between commercial and animation and character and e-learning. And so it's really hard to do all four of those things at the same time because of how different they are. So I think there is something to be said for being a little bit more narrow and niche in your focus in the beginning and then expanding over time. And I think that can also save you money in the long run too, because hey, coaching and demos they're a hefty investment. And so if you're trying to do coaching and demos in multiple genres all at once, that can get really expensive too. And so that's I mean another really valid argument for pacing yourself a little bit. Bill says, I agree about Anganguza. I just finished my medical demo. Wonderful experience, wonderful human being and teacher, 5,000 stars, 100%, 100%. Jack says, when email marketing, what do you do when you can't find anything personal from their website to personalize the email? Jack, I think you can always find something. I literally think that no matter what, you can always find something. We've been in business for 20 years. Mention it. We've won awards. Mention it. Going through their client list. Oh, I see that you've worked with so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. That's an impressive client list. Mention it. Oh, you're based in so-and-so. I'm based in so-and-so. Oh, you're based in so-and-so. Oh, hey, I remember when I visited so-and-so 2 years ago and ate at the best barbecue restaurant on earth. Have you ever been to this place? Name of the place, right? There's always something that you're going to be able to find to try to make the email a little bit more personal just by quickly scrolling through and seeing going through their website and say, oh, they specifically mentioned that they use voice actors. Oh, hey, I know that you use that you offer voiceover services as part of your post production. How do you keep your roster? Right? There's always going to be something that you can find. Karen said, I joined late and have been offline for a bit with an ankle replacement. So I'm not sure if you answered this 1,000 times, but what software do you use to send out your multi-email marketing? So the only bulk emailing that I'm really doing is on the coaching side of things. And for that, I'm using Drip. I would not recommend Drip for a voice actor who just wants to build an email list of voiceover leads. I think it's way overkill for that. I think if you were trying to build a list to be able to do a newsletter type deal, I would probably look at something like a MailChimp. MailChimp allows you to do free up to a certain number of subscribers, which is handy as well. It integrates with Nimble, which is really nice if you're using Nimble as your CRM. Actually, it integrates with a ton of stuff. But I would think that something like a MailChimp would probably be the best option for something like that. How much time do you spend on marketing your voiceover business on a given day? Kind of all the time. I know that sounds like a really broad and generic and unanswered answer. For me, at the stage that I'm at, I don't have as much time every day to send emails as what I used to. So I've adopted strategies like LinkedIn ads, for example. I've had an ad running on LinkedIn almost every day in 2022, which is a form of marketing for my voiceover business. Right now, I'm sitting here live on YouTube answering questions about voiceover for free, which is me marketing my coaching business, right? As you guys watch me, you get to know, like, and trust me. And maybe one day you decide to buy a course from me, or you do some private coaching with me. So I'm marketing right now. Every time I post on social media, I'm bringing myself top of mind with my prospects and my clients, which is really a form of marketing. So it's one of those things that I think that it doesn't for me, it doesn't ever really stop. Now, I know that's not specifically probably the answer that you're looking for. I think when you are starting out, when I was starting out, I had nothing else to do, right? I didn't have any bookings. So I was literally sending emails and making social media connections 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day, because what the heck else was I going to do? And so I think that's part of it too. I think it depends on what are your objectives for your voiceover business? How much are you trying to grow your voiceover business? What level do you want to get to? And then reverse engineer it. How do I get there? And marketing is going to be one of the biggest parts of it. And if you don't have anything else going on, then you just spend all of your time marketing, and eventually the percentages shift and the strategies shift. It's a really great question though, because it is an important part of it. And sometimes I think that we put a limit on it. Like, well, I got to market it an hour a day. No, you got to market as many hours a day as you can market, until you have the number of clients that you want and you have the income level that you want, is really what it comes down to. And for somebody, that might be an hour a day, but for somebody else, it might be 4 hours a day. And for somebody else, it might be 8 hours a day. Jack says HubSpot is a great tool too and free. Yep, absolutely. HubSpot, another basic CRM. You could do basic CRM functionality with the free version of HubSpot. Absolutely one that is worth checking out. Happy baseball season. Yes, very excited about that. Looking forward to spending some time with the Red Sox again. Even though all the predictions basically say that the Red Sox are going to stink this year. But that's what happens when you don't sign any pitching. And then your star pitcher goes on the disabled list what's it called? It's not called the disabled list anymore. What's it called? The injured list. Goes on the injured list for 60 days at the start of the season, which is fantastic. But still, looking forward to spending some time with baseball for sure. Absolutely. Again, guys, remember to check out the latest episode of the podcast. We're talking about cold calling. It was a really great episode. Brian gave a lot of really great information. He really did just kind of spell out the keys to the kingdom. How to succeed at cold calling. There's the link if anybody wants to check that out. Anna Marie says, will you be going to VO North? I hope so. The only challenge I'm going to have with VO North is it actually happens to be on my birthday. And so I guess it's going to depend a lot on what my family has planned. If they have anything planned for my birthday, we might have to shift celebrations around or something like that. But I would like to be a part of VO North. I've been a part of every conference that they've done up to this point. It's a great event. Lots of great information gets shared. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. I'm actually, speaking of VO North, next week's interview on the podcast is going to be with Tanya Buchanan, who is one of my agents. And we are literally talking about how to get an agent and what agents are looking for. But she is also one of the organizers of VO North. And we talk a little bit about VO North in the podcast as well. So I'm excited for that. Nikki says, what I need to do with vocals mix with music. What I need to do with vocal. So Nikki, I just want to make sure that I understand what you're asking. Are you saying that you have to mix vocals with music? Like a client is asking you to do a project where they need you to put a music bed underneath of your voice? Is that what you're asking? I just want to make sure that I understand what you're asking. If you could clarify for me, I could try to answer that question for you. Yes. Okay. So most audio editing software, whether that's Adobe Audition, Audacity, Twisted Wave, whatever it is that you happen to be using, most of them give you the ability to do that sort of stuff. You'll have to go into multi-track mode, which most of those applications allow you to go into multi-track mode. And you would put your vocals on one track and you would put the music on a second track. And then you would have the ability to turn the volume down on the music track so that the music does not overpower the vocals. And so that's just some basic editing skills that you would have to learn to be able to do that. But it can be done through most of those different audio editing softwares. DAWs, digital audio workstations is what they're called. And then as far as the music is concerned, lots of different places to find music, royalty-free music. That you can get, that you can use for projects like that as well. Keeping in mind that royalty-free music does not mean free music specifically. You might actually have to pay for the song or pay for the track in order to be able to use it. You just would not have to pay royalties to continue to use it. Nikki, I'm not an audio editor, but if you do a quick search on YouTube for mixing vocals and music on in whatever software you happen to be using, I am sure that there are probably 1,000 YouTube videos out there that will come up that will help you to be able to do that. Just do a search for whatever software you're using. Again, Adobe Audition, Twisted Wave, Audacity, even GarageBand would probably give you the ability to do that on a basic level. The other option then, of course, is to work with somebody like Uncle Roy, for example, working with somebody who can teach you some of those skills if that's something that you're going to need to know how to do on an ongoing basis. FL Studio 20. I don't know FL Studio 20 off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there's probably a video that you would be able to find for that particular software. Oh my goodness, guys. I just want to be able to breathe again. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you for being a part of Free Advice Friday. Again, we're going to keep doing Free Advice Friday here on YouTube. General consensus is that this is the better place to do it. And so far, knock on wood, YouTube hasn't banished me from the platform. So Free Advice Friday will continue to be here. Next week is a holiday. It is Easter weekend. So I don't know for sure if I'm going to be doing Free Advice Friday yet or not. But if I do, I will post it ahead of time. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you will be able to get notified anytime that I go live. I do try to schedule them ahead of time as well. I've now created a playlist too. Let me get a link to that playlist. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I can't find it. I will find it later. Anyway, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get notified anytime that we do Free Advice Friday. I will be here and happy to answer your questions. Happy to spend some time hanging out with you guys and helping you to grow your voiceover business. Again, check out the latest episode of the podcast at VOpreneur.com or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher. It's all over the place. And watch for Voiceover Marketing Playbook, which is coming next week. Very excited about that one as well, which is at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and go find some leads.